Big Ten Rentals in Iowa City, Iowa was born from humble beginnings. The company's president, Brian DeCoster, was still in college when he learned that rental could be a good business opportunity.
I rented out my dorm fridge the first year, and then the next year I had 6. I bought some used ones. Then the next year I had 13, and then I decided I could use this little side gig to pay off my student loans, so I bought 400. And then those were going pretty well, and that was about the time that microwaves started to get cheap, but most people still didn't have one, so I got into microwaves. Then I decided to do TVs, and what's interesting is that's how I got the name Big Ten Rentals. I thought I was going to go to other campuses. That was my plan, and become this big collegiate renter. And then I was throwing some pretty wicked tailgate parties, and people kept calling me to rent tents. So I bought a tent, and the rest is history.
Big Ten Rentals is now one of the largest tent rental companies in the state of Iowa. The Hawkeye State gets plenty of notoriety when the presidential election cycle begins with the first in the nation caucuses in January. That brings all the candidates to Iowa, and that brings big business to Big Ten Rentals.
All the candidates are still coming to Iowa. They're still having rallies. They're still renting bleachers. They're still getting podiums and chairs and the bike rack and the velour drape, which we do all kinds of political stuff. So there's not a lot of companies that have that presidential blue velour drape, and we have it. We have a lot of it too. So anybody running for president wants to look presidential, so they almost always call here.
Big Ten Rentals has played a large role in campaign events throughout the state since the Clinton administration. While the novelty has worn off a bit over the years, there was some initial shock for DeCoster when the phone rang.
In my earlier days, when I was kind of newer into tenting, I got a call for a 30 by 60 tent, and they kept asking a bunch of questions about it. It was for the President Riverboat, and I said, well, you should have my information in your file because I'm doing your company party coming up here. And he said, what company party? I said, well, the company party for the President Riverboat. He said, sir, this is the office of the President of the United States in Washington, D.C. And I said, oh, that president.
Whether it's a call from Washington, D.C. or a simple setup at the University of Iowa, it keeps the rental industry an interesting and exciting place for Big Ten Rentals.
Everything's interesting. Every day the phone rings in the rental industry. You know, it's a football game or an Indian powwow or a presidential event or all kinds of everything's. We usually one of the first people to get the phone call, as everybody in the rental industry knows, and you hear about everything coming up right before it does.